top Trump advisor, Stephen Miller, saying the administration is, quote, looking at suspending a key part of the Constitution, the right to habeas corpus.
President Trump has talked about potentially suspending habeas corpus to take care of the illegal immigration problem. When could we see that happen, do you think?
Well, the Constitution is clear, and that, of course, is the supreme law of the land, that the privilege of the writ of habeas corpus can be suspended in a time of invasion. So I would say that's an option we're actively looking at. Look, a lot of it depends on whether the courts do the right thing or not.
Habeas corpus is one of the most important and basic rights we are entitled to. It is the mechanism that protects people against unlawful imprisonment, and it is enshrined in the Constitution, which says that it can only be suspended in cases of, quote, invasion in the interest of public safety. Trump has tried to argue there's a, quote, invasion as justification for his mass deportation campaign. But a judge in Texas has already debunked that claim, finding the White House has, quote, failed to prove any invasion. Trump, in a cabinet meeting last week, appeared to reference habeas corpus when musing about how he can expand his presidential power despite court orders.
We're facing an unprecedented situation where there's a lot of abuses of nationwide injunctions, sort of seemingly designed to curtail your power, specifically when it comes to deporting these illegal, violent aliens that came in under the previous administration. Yeah. Have you spoken to your team about ways to mitigate this and continue to deliver for the American people on that?
There are ways to mitigate it, and there's some very strong ways. There's one way that's been used by 3 very highly respected presidents, but we hope we don't have to go that route.
And these comments come amid attacks on other constitutional rights. Trump trying to ban birthright citizenship and making comments about serving a possible 3rd term, something that the Constitution says is not possible, by the way. So joining me now is Jelani Cobb, Dean of the Graduate School of Journalism for Columbia University and a writer for The New Yorker, and Julian Zelizer, history professor at Princeton and author of The Long View on Substack. Julian, how serious is this moment? Is the threat to our constitutional rights?
It's a very serious threat. The Constitution is the framework for our government, and we have an administration that is testing its strength every given day. And here you hear Stephen Miller saying out loud what we know is coming based on an invasion that people don't see happening. And so this is a test for the country, I think. I think many judges are stepping up and trying to stop it, but they have limited power of enforcement.
Do you take what Miller says seriously?
I think we have to take what he says very seriously. We've seen his influence on policy in the White House and, throughout, 2 administrations now. I should just say that, when Lincoln suspended habeas corpus, it was in the midst of the Civil War when twice, Robert E. Lee's forces, the Confederates, literally did invade the North in an attempt to encircle Washington, D.C. and bring an end to the war, a favorable end for the Confederacy. And so when we're talking about a conflict in which 700,000 plus Americans lost their lives, we know what an invasion is. That's the definition of an invasion. When we're talking about a conflict over immigration policy, that does not qualify as an invasion.
Well, one of the things that's actually so confusing for people in this moment, I think, is that this administration wants people to believe that they have done unprecedented things on the border. Crossings are down. They have secured the U.S.-Mexico border like never seen before. But also, you need to believe that we are being invaded to such an unprecedented extent that it would mean exercising these kinds of strange wartime powers.
But I think that's true, but it's also consistent with what we've seen, like the tendency to be on both sides of a question. Even when we go back to 2016 and the original kind of reemergence of law and order and saying the rhetoric was that, people had to be saved by, saved from the marauding gangs of criminals who were roaming the streets of American cities, as opposed to pointing out the fact that crime was considerably down over those years. And so it really doesn't matter. We're not talking about statistical reality or objective reality. We're talking about rhetorical reality, which can be anything that people need at any given moment.
As a history professor, what are you seeing in this moment in terms of rhetorical reality? Are there points in time that you look back to that are very instructive about what we're seeing now?
Not really. I mean, the Lincoln moment is very instructive in terms of the conditions we've seen this happen. Even that was controversial at the time.
At the time,
it remains
right.
controversial
Right.
with a president who is revered within the canon of American history. So we should see the bar is very high for doing this. But we haven't actually had, I don't think, a president strain the legal system to the extent we're seeing President Trump do that. And so I don't like using unprecedented too much, but I feel like we're in that. And I think Jelani has it exactly right. He uses rhetoric to justify what he wants to do, even when the empirical facts on the ground don't match it. We saw that with the election in 2020.
Right.
And this is the new rigged election. It's the invasion. And even as courts say it's not happening, he says it does. But it's really an excuse to do this. But it's dangerous. The point is, without due process, without the system, everyone becomes vulnerable.
Well, I'll have you both stay with me. We're turning now to breaking news from New Jersey. The mayor of Newark, Ras Baraka, arrested while on a trip to an ICE detention facility. The video of that chaotic moment is dramatic. Take a look.
I'm not letting you. You cannot push. You cannot push. You cannot push. You want to get back? You cannot. You want Congressman, get over her.
Video showing a tense scuffle with masked federal agents. 3 members of Congress were there as well, including 80-year-old Bonnie Coleman. She's the woman in the center right there. Congressman Rob Menendez called in during the last hour to describe this scene.
Over 20 armed ICE agents, over 20, and there's video, so it's clear to see there's a mayor of the largest city in New Jersey, 3 members of Congress, over 20 armed agents and additional ICE officials there, and then that is when they arrested Mayor Baraka.
Lonnie, I need to get your reaction to this and what signal you think they're sending.
So first, there's a couple things I'll say. I've known Mayor Baraka for more than 35 years. We went to Howard University together, and frankly, he's one of my oldest friends. I will try to refrain from this. It's difficult to see a friend of mine in a position like that. I'll try to refrain and speak about this from as distant a perspective as I can give, and say that this is reminiscent. We just saw a judge being arrested, under these circumstances. And can you imagine, what the outcry would be if we saw a Democratic president arresting the mayor of a largely Republican city over a policy dispute? And for that matter, the city of Newark has maintained that the ICE detention center that's being operated there is being operated illegally. So it's not that this was, there was no basis for the mayor to be there. He was there under the official warrant of his responsibilities as mayor of that city. And so, this is kind of characteristic of the overreach we've seen consistently. We've seen it in multiple arenas. We've seen it with the law firms. We've seen it with what this administration is doing at higher education, including the university I teach at, Columbia University. We've seen it in every arena that we can imagine. And now we're seeing it enacted against elected officials, people who have been put into office by democratic will of the public themselves.
What kind of signal do you think, I mean, you know the mayor well. that they're sending not just to him as an individual, a person who had the right to be there to protest, but also specifically the community of Newark that he serves here?
I mean, the point is that meant to say that there are no checks on the authorities, on the administration's authority, and that anyone, if the mayor is not safe, then no one is safe. And I think that it's meant to convey that message. Also, I would commend the mayor and those congressional reps for going there and making the point that the facility was not being operated, according to them, in accord with what the legal requirements are. And I think that's important that we maintain those kinds of standards.
What do you think he's thinking right now? What's he going through?
You know, he's a tremendously, he has a tremendous amount of fortitude, and he's a tremendously principled person, as long as I've known him. And I think that, for him, he would, gladly, happily sacrifice his freedom to make sure that a point is made about the fundamental importance of democracy.
So often, Julian, I am asked by voters, people who I'm talking to in the course of my reporting and travels, about, well, when will the media let us know that the line has really been crossed this time, that we're in truly strange territory? How do you advise people on that? How do you talk to people without sounding hyperbolic about what we're seeing, but also addressing the reality of what's in front of us?
It's not hyperbolic. I mean, this is not even about the arrest of an individual. It's about the arrest of a mayor. I think that is the point. This is a exercise in presidential power that goes well beyond what we usually have and what we expect.